Happy holidays, everybody. Ho, ho, holy crap, these things are cute. Look at these things. 3-foot, giant, jumbo, LED Christmas lights. These are from Home Depot. It is the week before Thanksgiving, 2024. Home Depot brought these out beginning of November and almost immediately sold out. Red, green, white. $24.98. I don't know if they'll be back in stock or not, but these things are stinking cute. Really well made too. Injection molded plastic for the base and blow molded for the top. Powered by 3D batteries. I got a little battery thing down here and timer. So you push the button once and it comes on for 6 hours and then off for 18 hours and then back on again. So they'll kind of keep their own schedule. So if you put them on the front porch or something, you just push that when you want them to come on, and then every day they'll come on. Got one up here that I put batteries in. And so you can see if we push that timer button, it comes on. So they've got a little panel in there with about 6 LEDs. I don't know how long 3D batteries lasts, but D batteries are kind of pricey. And I'm wanting to put these kind of up on the eave of my house like a real light set. That's why I bought kind of as many as I could. I had to go to 6 stores to get this many. And most of what I was finding was red. I've got some green and I have one white. White seems to be the hardest to find. But I really don't want to be feeding these things batteries, and I don't want to be climbing up and pushing the button on it. So let's see if we can make these 120 volt line powered. Modify! All right, dang it, these things are cute. Oh, there she is. So we've decided we don't really want to be chasing D batteries in these things constantly. So let's repower them. We've got a few options there. I've seen people repower these with like a floodlight, like an RGB floodlight from like Govee. And I've seen people put other lamps inside, in the bottom. But I think that I'd like to keep it to a regular light bulb screw base, a medium screw base, which is what we're used to, E26 medium screw base. And if we can repower it with that, we can kind of use any lamp then. We could use a regular LED lamp. We could use a globe lamp. We could use, you could even use one of the RGB lamps from like Govee or Philips Hue or something like that. That works really well in the white ones. I wish I had a ton of white ones, because if you have the white ones and you put an RGB color changing light bulb in it, like a Govee, Hue, something Wi-Fi controlled, you can make this any color you want, which is really cool. Totally sold out. That's the only one I ever found. So let's get these taken apart. I'll show you how to get them apart and show you how to get this powered with a medium screw base bulb. This is how you get them apart. You really do unscrew them. I'm not joking. They unscrew out of there, but you can kind of dent these, so you got to be a little careful. So do that and then get good hold of them and lefty-loosey and just unscrew the dome. There you go. This is the one that's got the batteries in it. So you can see the 6 lamps there. It's just got a little bitty circuit board in there with the 6 lamps on it. And they are colored, so the green ones have green LEDs, the red ones have red LEDs. And really for as efficient as I think this is, it puts out a decent amount of light. we're going to need a porcelain socket for a regular medium screw base lamp. This one is a snap-in socket, and you'll see why this style is going to be what we want to use here. This one snaps in from the top. This is kind of a very normal socket that you should be able to find at a home store or a local hardware store. This I bought at Menards because I'm in the Midwest, and so we've got Menards. And then for our cord, I've gotten a light gauge extension cord. This is zip cord, and it's green, which is good for the holiday, and it has a place to plug other cords in. This is a cable gland or a cord grip. The size is PG9, sorry. PG9. This is a PG9 cord grip. Got a couple wire nuts. I'm going to use orange. You could also use yellow. Zip ties, wire strippers, pair of pliers, pilot bit, unibit, or a regular 9/16 bit, and then a hole saw. This is 1 3/8. This is kind of a style that has real fine teeth, which works really well in the plastic. And then a drill, and then optionally you need this as a light guard, and I'll show this to you later. It'll make more sense. Okay, first order of business is to get the existing LED out of there. It's kind of cool. They've really just held it in there by a couple little cleats. So we need to get the wire off of there and get this LED off of there. The wire is tiny, and if you reach down in there and you pull it, it just comes right out. Now up here, there's a little spot there that prevents you from sliding the board back out. But if we get the knife kind of right up in there and pry, we can slide the board out without having to destroy anything. Come on. Oh, there we go. So what's left are these little cleats here, and these will get in the way if we don't get them out now. So I'm using a pair of linesman's pliers, and I just kind of grip them and twist. Grip and get them out of the way. Okay. Now, with that out of the way, let's mark where we are going to drill our hole for that and for the cord. It's pretty important to get this centered on this right here, because if we drill it off center, you'll kind of tear up the sides, which give us all the strength. So you want to get this eyeballed in the center there as well as you can. So I've got a mark kind of right in the center of that bridge. Now I'm also going to mark for my cord entry. We're just going to leave the timer in there. I know some other people that have been doing this have been taking that out, but it really doesn't get in the way. I want to put it down here at the base, and I want to put it kind of halfway up here and kind of right centered, something like that. Okay, I know there's good access in there, so we'll be able to get our hand down there. So that's where we're going to do that one. Using a little 1/8" drill bit to make ourselves a pilot hole. Little pilot hole there, kind of as close to the center as we can. And then down here, something I noticed, it might be hard for you to see, but I can kind of see the shadow of where some reinforcing ribs are in the back here. It looks like there's a reinforcing rib right there at that height. So I probably want to drill this up a little bit higher so that I don't get into that reinforcing rib. Now this was a red one. Was it a red one? Yes, this was a red one, and it was a little different than one of the other ones I've done. So just be aware of that. So I'm actually going to go slightly higher than my mark, like that. Okay, now we're ready to drill for our PG9 cord grip. For that, I'm using a unibit, and it's a little bigger than 9/16. It's a little smaller than 5/8. But instead of going 9/16 and filing it or whatnot, we're just going to do 5/8 because it's not too big. Okay. Unibit does really well on thin stuff like thin metal and thin plastic. You could certainly do this with a drill bit. Just be careful with a drill bit. As soon as it starts to go through, it really grabs. Okay, so yep, that was the 9/16, and so now I need to go just a tiny bit bigger. Boom, there we go. Okay, now this is where this is where it makes and breaks you. This is a 1 3/8 hole saw, but it's got really small teeth. Okay, that really works well in plastic because it doesn't just grab it and rip it to shreds. You can find this in the electrical aisle. This would be for drilling out like conduit knockouts for 3/4 electrical knockouts. So you can usually find this or a version of this in the electrical aisle. Now, when you drill this, the reason you want to get that really good to center is that this is pretty much the same size as that thing. And if you get too far over, you can kind of tear up one of these sides, and that's all your strength. Okay, so that really makes a nice cut. 1 3/8. See, our sides are still intact. Okay, so now we're ready to do some assembly. Okay, so let's talk cords. This is a cord, you can get this almost any store. This came from Menards. 15 foot, 16 gauge, green extension cord. And so perfect for holiday stuff. And it has a 3-way cord plug tap at the end. This is a polarized plug, and we're going to talk about that. See how that plug's a little fatter? Polarized. That's important. And then this is the other super important thing here is the socket itself. Once again, got this from Menards, and but you can get this same socket almost anywhere. Now, I'm not saying you can't use a different style than this, but this one is really ideal for this because it installs from the top and it fits in that 1 3/8 hole. It really says it's made for an 1.5 inch hole, but 1 3/8 is nice and tight and really holds it well, and we just don't have the room for 1.5 inch here. So the important thing to notice about this socket, see how it's got this ridge right here, and then it's got these little cleats that hold it in there. This installs from the top. This was about $3.50 at Menards, and this was about $4 at Menards. Now this is 15 foot long. It's pretty long, but you're going to lose some up in the body of this. They also have a 9-foot version, which you could certainly get, and that's only about $2.50. Or you can cut some off of this. So the other thing you're going to need are these PG9 cable glands. And so there's a nut on the bottom. We take that off. That's the mounting nut. And then there's the gland itself. And then there's a little O-ring down in here, kind of a little sleeve, and we'll show you that. But you can go ahead and take this apart, and we're going to screw that down into our hole at the bottom. I had to take my jacket off because you kind of got to have skinny arms for this. Get the nut and reach down in there. Come on. All right, so I've got the nut right down there, and then I'm kind of thinking that they've got several versions of this plastic housing, because this one here is a little different than the other ones I've done so far. I'm going to take my pliers there and give this a little tighten. Okay, there we go. Ooh. All right, we do not want to break this. Be very careful. Okay, so the next thing is I've got the cord itself. So what we're wanting to do here is be able to plug it in, but then also plug others into this one so they can kind of daisy chain light to light to light. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this. Now you can tighten it up if you want, but I chose 30 inches. So we're going to cut the cord 30 inches from that end, okay? Boom, right there. So now we've got these two pieces. Okay, now we got to teach you something about polarized plugs. See how that has one wide and one skinny? If you look at the wire, one side of the wire is smooth. The other side has ridges. The side with ridges is the neutral. And so we need to maintain that all the way through. Ridges and neutral wire. So I'm going to put these together with the ridges and the flats. And I'm going to run our nut over it, okay? Got the nut with the threads facing that way. And we're going to run that back. Now, I'm going to take these and push them through our grommet. I'm actually going to pull that little rubber part out of there, and I'm going to shimmy it down the wire here. Because this does get a bit tight, okay? So now we're going to get these pushed through there, and we're going to pull them up the center here. Come on, there we go. And I'm trying to keep those together so that our ridges and our smooths come out in the right place here, okay? So you can see I'm kind of forcing that through there. All right, and I'm going to push this farther than it needs to go right now because, and you see how close that is there? I cut that at 30 inches so we'd have enough room to work up here, okay? Now we've got to pull this through there. All right, we check. We've got ridges and smooth and smooth. Okay, that's what we want. We want that coming up through there. Our socket wires are pre-stripped, which is nice. But here, we're going to rip and strip. You can just rip the zip cord apart, and then we can strip it about the same as the pre-stripped part. Okay, now, tell you why this is important to keep ridges to white. Ridges to white, okay? Ridges are neutral. The neutral is wired to this outside shell here, which when the light bulb is screwed in, sometimes that outside shell is where you could touch it. So by making sure that this stays connected to the neutral, we do not have 120 volt hot right there. So that's important to keep that together. So we've got our orange wire nuts, and we're going to go ridges to white. Okay, and you don't have to pre-twist them, just get them at the same length and run that over there, twist it till it's tight. Okay, now I'm taking both the smooth wires and the black, which is the hot, twisting her on there. Okay, now we could be done, but let's tighten it up a bit. We're going to fold that over, okay, so it's kind of coming out the right way, and I'm going to run a zip tie around that. Okay, so you can see it's kind of doubled over there, and all that does is make it so that this is going to go in there nice, and it's kind of a strain relief in case somebody was to jerk on the cord. They're all connected together, okay? And we're going to cut that zip tie off, or rather we're going to twist it off. That way it's not sharp there. Okay, so now we can install the socket, but we got to be careful because if we just push that down on there, you could break this little plastic bit. The other thing to note is that I kind of install it so that this ear is diagonal. It kind of drops into that and it drops into that, okay? And then once we've got this down in there, we'll tighten our cord up a little bit because there's going to be too much cord just hanging out down there. It's not going to hurt anything, but okay, so I'm going to get that going down in there. And I got to make sure I really support this before I push down on the socket. And I'm going to push this down in there, and these little ears are going to click behind the plastic, okay? Maybe. Oh, boy, it's tight. Sometimes you got to kind of twist it to get them to drop down in there. Oh, fight. Oh. It's going to make a liar out of me. Okay, come on. I may have to nibble away a little bit at this to make a place for those to drop in. Okay. I just kind of made a little spot for those to drop in there. And like I said, we can't really make the hole any bigger because if we make it bigger, it will destroy that whole thing. Come on. Man, the others went right in. It's in there, it just didn't click like the others did. I've already done a couple of these and they really clicked in there nicely. This one just isn't clicking, but it is certainly in there. It's certainly in there. Man. You know, these sockets could be from different manufacturers, even though they come from the same place. They could be sourcing them from different places, and they're just a little bit different from each other. Okay. Well, I'm not worried about it going anywhere. So there it is. Okay. Stuck in there. I suppose you could put some hot glue around it if you really felt like you needed to, but we've got too much wire in there. We kind of overstuffed it in there. So now we can kind of guide this out. My hand down in there again. And I'm kind of pulling this out. Okay, about like that. All right, so now we're going to slide this O-ring up the wire here. This is that grommet, making sure we're keeping that wire together, and that goes inside these little fingers here. There's there we go, inside those little fingers. And now we can slide the gland nut up there. Okay, just like that. We've got just a little bit of slack in here for that wire, and got that gland nut in there. Now I'm going to tighten that gland nut, but I'm going to hold the base nut while I do it because I don't want the base nut to rotate. Okay. All right. So there you can see what that looks like. We've got that nice gland in there. Reasonably weatherproof, okay? PG9 refers to the size of it. PG7 is too small. PG7 will only fit one piece of wire. Okay, so now we've got wire to plug it in, and another wire to plug the next light in, okay? So we're almost done. You could put a light bulb in it right now and it would be fine. But what happens is when you put a light bulb in here that's, you know, vastly more power than the original LED that came with it, what happens is enough light gets down here and it shines through this plastic. This plastic is not quite thick enough to prevent that. So what you'll get is this glows a little bit. So what I did was I had some plastic. This is like a kind of a thin rubber, and it's black on one side, it's white on the other. And I cut it 7.5 inch outer diameter with a 2 inch inner diameter. And what that does, it'll go right there. But you got to kind of tuck it in there. You can see the place where the lamp thread's in, and then this goes under there. So once we get that in there, it can be white side up, it can be black side up, it doesn't really matter. Once you get that in there, that will stop that light pollution from getting through. And I just wrote the sizes on there for you guys so you could see how big I made that. But I mean, really, you could use anything here. You could use cardboard, anything. So we're ready to throw a light bulb in this and see what it looks like. Okay, so we've got our medium screw base sockets in these now. What light bulb do we use? I tried quite a few different things, and there's a definite winner in my book. So over here we've got the 9-watt lamp. So this is a 60-watt replacement. This is a 14-watt, so that's what you'd call a 100-watt replacement. This one was kind of fun. This is a 40-watt decorative bulb with the corkscrew style chip-on-board filament. And then over here we have the 40-watt globe style. I also tried a colored LED lamp, and that one's a non-starter. It didn't add anything. Didn't change anything at all. Any of these lamps is going to be totally fine as far as heat and all that kind of stuff. They just don't produce any heat. Also, you could, you know, these are all daisy chained together. You can daisy chain. You could probably put 100 of these in a row with any one of these lamps. So let's put the globes on and see what they look like. I'm not fully screwing those in, I'm just setting them on there. Okay, there we go. So it's probably a little bit hard to tell on video, but the colors are all very good. It's a little more orangey. The brighter the lamp, the more kind of orange it gets. This is the 60 watt equivalent, 100 watt equivalent. 40 watt with the filament, and 40 watt dome. Out of all of these, this one I say is a non-starter because it's just too bright. It's too bright for the for this, and it just blows it out and destroys the color. This one's okay. The 60 watt I think is okay, but it depending on where on the dome it is, you can really see the color inconsistencies in this blown dome. This one I think is kind of cool because you can really see the filament in it, and so it really looks like it really makes it look like the lamp that it's emulating. You know, you can see the filament in there. But at $10 a lamp, you got to decide whether that's worth it or not. Now, the winner in my book is the 40 watt globe. The 40-watt globe is less, it has less hot spots in it, and it really gives a good, even color on the whole thing. And so for me, I think that the 40-watt dome over there on the right is the winner. You know, and looking at this through the camera, it's very hard to even tell the filament in this one. It's just, it doesn't show up on the camera for you. So, and this one definitely, I believe, looks the best. So just for reference, so you can see the other colors, the green one, that's the green one with the dome. You can definitely see the lamp through the housing, which I'm not in love with, but that is kind of what it is. Now this was the 100-watt one over here, the 100-watt equivalent. And what I was wanting to show you here was this white dome is so translucent that it doesn't matter what you put in it. No hot spots. It can take a large lamp. But the greens and the reds, I think you need to be real careful with which lamp you put in, whether it be this dome or a normal light bulb. Well, there you have it. That's how I retrofitted my 3-foot Home Depot jumbo bulbs for 120 volt and to use regular light bulb. Total cost, I would say about $10 per lamp. That's for all the bits and parts. And once you get going, I could probably do one of these in about 5 minutes each. So time-wise, really not too bad. And by having that, that 3-way cord coming out, you can just daisy chain them infinitely, which is you know, real handy when you're out in the yard putting these things in. I switched some domes around here, and you know, the green really is the most translucent, which makes it, I think, the most difficult to pick a lamp for. So this is that decorative spiral filament lamp, and you can really see that in the green. I think it looks cool in the green. Because you can almost see through the green, any of the other light bulbs kind of look a little bit weird. So I may lamp those up with that. The red one is a little more opaque, and so you can't see the bulb in it. So that 40-watt globe, I think maybe works better there. I didn't see too big a difference in color temperature. This, you know, this lamp over here is like a 5000 K, you know, really kind of a bright white bluish light. It may wash that red out a little bit more. This is more of a soft, more like a 3000, 2700 Kelvin on this one. So that's a little warmer, so that might be better for the red. So I think I'm going to do the warm white globe in the red, and I may buy some of these for the greens, just because it really makes it look the best. You put the light bulb in the green and it's very visible. So the white's the rock star. Boy, you can put anything in there, including a color changing lamp. I wish I had a color changing lamp to show you, but it does look pretty cool. I wish I could find more of the whites, but they are gone, baby, gone. In fact, all of them are gone as of today. You can't get them for order. You can't get them in store. So hopefully for Black Friday, they'll push out some more to the stores and you can get your hands on some. Because boy, they really are cool. $24 or $25, a really cool light. So have a good holiday, everybody, and thanks for watching.